and welcome to another episode of Inspiring Teachers. I'm Tavis Beam.
And I'm Danny Hogger.
And this is the first of our CTA New Teachers Conference series. In this episode, we interview CTA President Toby Boyd.
Yeah, he's been CTA President for about 8 months, and we got to meet him. I was impressed by everything that he's doing and how he got from a kindergarten teacher to being CTA President. Yeah. And we had a great time at the conference as a whole. So over the next 7 weeks, you'll be able to see a lot of cool interviews.
In our interview, we talk about Prop 13 and how this new ballot measurement that's coming out in a couple of weeks is really going to help support California schools.
And even if you're outside the state, I think you'll find it an interesting conversation in how one is influential and sets goals in the field of education. Plus, you can subscribe to the show and also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. And we've got great weekly interviews over the next 6 or 7 weeks, and all of our episodes are fantastic. So we recommend you take a look at those too.
All right, so take it away, Toby Boyd.
And here we are at the New Educator Weekend 2020 in Santa Clara. I'm Danny Hogger.
I'm Tavis Beam.
And today we have a very special episode because the president of the CTA, Toby Boyd, is here. Toby, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's really great to have you here, and it's an honor for us to be with you on this show. And in a minute, we'd like to ask you about a proposition that could provide $15 billion in school funds, $9 billion for K-12 schools, and $6 billion to community colleges, and it's Prop 13. But before we jump into the meat and potatoes of what's going on in California, it's great to have you here, and congratulations. You're 8 months into your term as CTA president. And how has the process been for you, and what are you learning as you go?
It's crazy. That will be the honest truth there. Since June 26th, when I was elected, when I took office, I've been on this roller coaster, meeting folks, going places, doing things I'd never imagined as a kindergarten teacher from Elk Grove.
Wow, yeah.
It has been magical. Just meeting the members, I think, has been the most rewarding part of it, because I remind them that I'm no different than they are. I just happen to have a title that was elected from the membership as at the representative body. But I have been just blessed to just meet them and humbled by their kindness.
Oh, I mean, getting a chance to really connect with the community is, I'm sure, a big part of what you're doing.
It is, because as I tell them, without them, I'm nothing. And, unfortunately, I can't meet the whole 308,000 members that we currently have. Wow. I try to reach out as much as I can.
Yeah.
And just shaking their hands, knowing, and I like to go incognito so they don't know who I am, because I'm still a new face.
Right.
So I'm not that well known when you look at me on the street, but after I'm introduced, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was the president of CTA." It's nice. It makes me feel good.
It's a way of getting honest feedback.
Yes. And even when I'm with legislators and assembly folk, it's like they don't know my face.
Mm-hmm.
And when I ask and talk to them honestly, they like just tell me, and it's like, oh crap.
And so with that ability to create new relationships and new first impressions, what are some things that you're hoping that you're achieving, and maybe a few of your goals here in this first year and for your 2-year term and onward? What are some of the things that you're hoping that you can do as CTA president?
Well, one of the main things that I want to do is to bring our association together. There was a time that I saw us being splintered, and unfortunately, we cannot be as strong as we possibly can unless we're together. Mm-hmm. And that's when I feel is one of my strong suits, and especially as a kindergarten teacher, I can corral folks. Yeah. And it's all with love, and understanding and respect. But that would be one of my main goals to do in the very first few months, and I think I've achieved that. People walk up to me and say, "Hey, I really thank you for what you've done and bringing us back together." Now, on a more serious note, we need more funding for education. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We are so far down the list, and to be as large as we are, in our economy, it's ridiculous. We are constantly scraping for that budget dust that's left over. Mm-hmm. There are certain entities within the state that never goes begging for money. And if we were to invest in our children on the front end, we may not have the difficulties on the back end.
I agree.
Absolutely.
It's an investment that pays multiple dividends.
Yes.
So many ways.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, just getting full funding, a revenue source that's just dedicated to education where we won't have to go through this every year or pass initiatives or make sure that our schools are safe and, like Proposition 13.
Yeah,
that's coming
Let's
up.
talk about that. So,
It's an opportunity for us to continue the bond process that we have in place that has expired in order to help rebuild, clean up, make safe our schools for our students. And if our society really understands the importance of that, they'll definitely vote yes on it. But unfortunately, it's getting mixed up with the previous 13.
right.
And I wish that number could be retired,
Sure.
like they do jerseys and sports.
Absolutely.
That would be an opportunity time to say, okay, that number has to be gone. We don't want to use that number anymore. But it's an opportunity for us to continue to allow districts to get matching funds to help rebuild and correct things that are gone wrong in the school district in terms of facilities.
So you said that it expired. Can you talk a little bit about the process of how the money would come to the schools? How do they get the money?
Well, it's in terms of matching funds. So the district will have projects that and this is my understanding of it, and if I'm wrong, I will be corrected and slapped on the hand later, But my understanding is that school districts would get matching funds from the state, in order to fund projects that's needed for the schools.
Okay.
You're talking, it can range from getting asbestos out of schools, cleaning up pipes so that you won't have lead in the water, to making sure that it's fire safe, building perimeters around schools so they can remain safe. Those are the things that could possibly be used for the funds, and it can't be used for anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is interesting, having been a teacher for so many years and continually seeing this cycle where administrators have no idea how much money they're going to have next year. They don't know how they're going to fill all the spots. They don't know, because so much of it is contingent upon enrollment. And so we don't know if we're going to have teachers, and then we're hiring teachers, and then we have already started the school year. And when I worked at predominantly low-income schools, that had such an impact on the students as well.
Yeah, that's the only place I've ever taught was at Title I schools. So I understand that cycle. But, for us to be in a situation where we need educators, and school districts are laying them off for whatever the reasons are, and especially if they're new educators, they don't have to be given a reason.
Right.
That's right.
But then you look back and say, okay, well, you're going to need them in order to fill those classrooms with an educator that's caring, that's well prepared.
I've lost so many valuable new teachers to other districts because they knew they had the money.
Be aware
A couple
now.
of weeks.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks away. Is there a website that you would direct people to go and learn more if they're just hearing about this for the first time?
Well, on CTA.org, there's actually a link that people can actually go to, especially our educators, which I'm sure is probably most of your audience, that can go and get information on Proposition 13.
Great. Well, Toby, it's a real pleasure to meet you, and I can tell that you're achieving your goal of making people feel at ease, because it's been very easy for us to talk to you, and we appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. We hope to see you at many conferences down the road.
I appreciate it.
Thank you
10
so
minutes
much.
went real quick, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, this is really great. And we'll wish you a great weekend and enjoy the rest of the conference.
You too.
All right,
Thank you very much.
That was CTA President Toby Boyd talking with Danny Hogger and Tavis Beam, and we will be back with more in just a moment from the live conference. Thank you so much for listening, liking, and subscribing, and we'll see you very soon. Until next week, class is dismissed.